Joining me now to review some of this week's business stories is Lawrence Amadi. He is a partner within the advisory division of KPMG in Lagos and heads the Tech Assurance Network. He has actively delivered technology projects over the last 18 years in several countries. Good to have you back on the program, Lawrence.
Thank you very much, Rolake.
Great. You're one of our tech specialists here, and there are a lot of tech stories to get through. I wanted to talk about the report of Alphabet CEO, Google parent company, Sundar Pichai's salary of $200 million in 2022. Why is this really making the headlines?
Well, I think you need to know that Sundar is valued at $1.3 billion today.
Him, as a CEO, as a businessman.
As a person. So that's his valuation. And you know, tech companies, the salaries, it's all about salaries.
Yeah.
It's about headcount, it's about how people are doing, but more importantly, how is the man at the helms of affairs valued and remunerated? You know, and I think that makes people just think about, look.
So does the value, the net worth of the CEO say something about the financial health of the actual company that's producing the products and services?
Well, I must actually say this. You hear some of these stories, and a few months down the line, these companies declare bankruptcy.
Right.
So that's why a lot of that remuneration is in stock and equity remuneration.
Of course, not actual cash.
Not actual cash, yeah.
Interesting. Well, the company is still in the limelight because both Alphabet and Microsoft have declared their earnings, and both companies actually beat analyst expectations. So what was really the uptick there? What is helping them stay afloat?
So I would say this. The projections from analysts in the market was things were going to take a downturn. People were getting back to the offices. So a lot of the cloud, intelligent cloud businesses were supposed to decline a bit. But contrary to those estimates, these guys did better. I'm sure the last time we caught up, we were talking about the job cuts.
Yes, in
the tech space.
Yeah.
So you hear things like 15,000, 20,000 jobs cut. And these sort of results just make them hire another 15 or 20,000. You know, we don't know what's going on. But the reality is AI is going to be the new frontier where these guys compete. And that's the space to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're jostling for as they look forward.
Yeah, so it feels like the tech industry is being battered on all sides. Good earnings reports on the one hand, but moves by them to sort of ramp up and build scale are being stopped in their tracks by regulators. The UK is blocking Microsoft's acquisition of Call of Duty gaming company, Activision Blizzard. I mean, it's potentially building a mammoth of an organization. Do you see the I guess, regulatory rationale for blocking, potentially stopping this mega deal?
So the Competitions Commission in the UK have taken this bold step to halt the acquisition. But again, the question is, why is Microsoft trying to buy Activision?
Good point, yeah.
You know, Activision averages approximately 12 million subscribers playing Call of Duty. Call of Duty was built.
Do you play Call of Duty?
Unfortunately, no. I'm not a gamer yet.
You're not a gamer?
Yes, but you know, you have this Call of Duty built on the World War II story, and you know, is who shoots first. And the whole world, the youths are crazy about this game. Gen Zs go mad about it, and Microsoft is basically just keen into the passion for this game. It's massively addictive. But what the UK regulator is saying is, if we allow this deal go through, it's going to be bad news for the other potential gaming competitors.
Yeah, so, but is this a trend that's inevitable? You know, can we actually really stop this train? Because if you have such a segment of the market that has huge demand potential, and we haven't even talked about how scalable this model is, how far can the regulators really go if the industry as a whole is moving in a specific direction? Should the idea not really to be creating rules of engagement rather than stopping these mergers and acquisition? So
when you look at the trend in the market and you look at the guys who are innovating this trend in the market, Alphabet they have Google, they have Google Fiber, they have all the subsidiaries in there. They actually have Fitbit and the likes. And it was a really big force. And today, they're a dominant player, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Now they're playing in the cloud space. If you look at Microsoft, they are also dominating quite a bit. ChatGPT is part of the things that Microsoft is going to use to power and propel themselves. So the UK regulator is saying to themselves, if we allow this deal go through, these guys are going to be unstoppable. So it's a big call because the US are also yet to sort of ratify this big deal. So interesting times ahead.
Interesting times ahead. And Activision has said it would work aggressively with Microsoft to reverse it. Interesting times ahead. We're still on tech, this time looking at Netflix, streaming giant. I mean, I've got to admit, I do watch some Korean content on Netflix, but Korean content has now become global content. And Netflix has also recognized this market opportunity and is saying it's going to be investing an additional $2.5 billion in the Korean content. Why do you think content from Korea has been so attractive and appealing?
Netflix today have about 223 million subscribers globally. And a good number of those people are subscribing to Korean TV, to Korean series, Korean culture. Probably they like the way people look. People look so perfect in the Korean series. And I think it's, again, it's a magnet for Gen Zs. So the guys are saying to themselves, we've got to look at this market a lot more because in the future, people are going to keep subscribing and watching a lot more Korean content.
Yes, indeed. And actually, one of the trends we've seen on Netflix, if they've tried to go really local and regional in getting more diverse content from around the world. Does Netflix really have a close competitor? If you look at just the sheer demand for Netflix, I know they've made some changes to their subscription service, but how do you see that whole streaming market evolving?
So watch out for Prime. Watch out for
Amazon Prime.
Yes, correct. Yes. Amazon Prime and Apple TV, and then Disney Plus.
Okay.
These guys are coming really, really fast behind Netflix, and their numbers are also growing. But yes, you're right. Netflix dominance, unquestionable. Does it result in profits? Maybe not as much as they would like because these guys all ride on heavy costs to power the business. But I think they know what they're doing. They essentially just want to say, look, you know what? Let's diversify, the market. If you look at Nigeria, they are also producing some content that's
original content from Nigeria, yes,
that they put online for diverse viewers like Nigerians, in diaspora and locally here.
Yeah, so interesting times for Netflix and streaming. And I know even here in Africa, we have Showmax and a few others that are coming, but perhaps a bit further down in terms of the rankings. I'd like us to talk about South Africa. They've been having this power crisis for yonks, as I call it. Now they're highlighting the fact that diesel is really becoming a financial challenge for them in terms of sourcing diesel and paying for diesel. What are your thoughts on what the implications this is really having on the electricity market in South Africa?
So I would start off by saying I lived in South Africa for about 5 years. And throughout my time in South Africa, the power issue wasn't there. Today, they have about 6.3 gigawatts installed capacity. But production and generation capacity is about 58,000 megawatts, and when you look at that vis-a-vis 58 million people in South Africa, plus they're supporting 7 countries, around them, I guess it's a demand pull. They've got to meet the obligations for the countries they've signed, the MOUs and the deals with. So that's a key challenge. But then coming back home, they've got to just say to themselves, how do we then bolster this a lot more? You don't find a lot of diesel generators across the country as well. If you go to complexes, because they run the complex model, you don't find a lot of diesel generators available. So today, I guess they're saying to themselves, how do we build, thermal, power generation to help us augment the shortfall?
And it's interesting because we talk about the global energy transition, but I recently read that South Africa are looking to kickstart some of those coal plants again. So, Africa just has to meet its energy demand,
100%.
Indeed. So the story I want us now to kind of end with is one that has been making headlines all week. 2 billionaire businessman, Otedola and Elumelu. I mean, a lot has happened. Help us make sense of what has happened. We know that Otedola has now exited. So what was all that about? What was all the drama about?
Rolake, I think to sign off, I'd say you need to get billionaire friends. So we didn't know what was going on when we heard the announcement of the acquisition of the shares. But I guess
This was the original acquisition by Otedola, the
Correct.
6% stake.
Correct.
Yes.
So the expectation was, are they both trying to be joint pilots?
Okay.
In this setup, because we know Hare's holding, and then of course we know about Gary Good Power
Of
and
course.
Otedola's investments. But the shock, quick transfer, just then tells a story. Probably a friend calling a favor to say, look, can you please spare me a few billion naira, for a transaction, and then I get it back to you. So the market, again, sometimes look at these things and say, look, can we really put confidence in this? Some shareholders who probably didn't know the end game will look back and say, if they knew better, maybe they wouldn't sell.
Okay, maybe they would have sold. Yeah, interesting. So what I want to look is they're not just as big institutional investors, they're also retail investors in
Correct.
Transcorp PLC. And we know Transcorp PLC is a diversified conglomerate. What impact do you think this deal and non-deal, and then deal again, will have on investor sentiment with regards to Transcorp PLC?
So I think the investor sentiment is going to wane a bit because we've seen in the last 5-6 years that the share prices haven't done too well in the stock market. So the regulators have to start looking closely at this, and the stockholders probably have to do more diligence when they hear about this scrip issue or right issue or just an IPO.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting. And I'm sure that interesting intrigue around Transcorp PLC and Otedola and Elumelu will continue. I'm sure the markets will monitor that very closely. Thanks for joining me again on the show, Lawrence Amadi. Great to always chat with you.
Thank you so much for that.